Tiếp tục phần 2. Well, it's possible that Lisa would have decided that she would take loans or work a part-time job in order to support her own tuition, so that Andy wouldn't have had to bear the entire burden for that. And Andy might have decided to take that job in that other city. And maybe the two of them would have commuted for a couple of years. While Lisa finished her degree, so let's take another couple, Emily and Deb. They live in a big city. They have 2 children. They both work. Emily gets a job in a small town, so they decide to move there together. And Deb quits her job to look after the children full time. Deb leaves behind an extended family, her friends, and a job that she really liked. And in that small town, Deb starts to feel isolated and lonely. And 10 years later, Deb has an affair and things fall apart. Now, the marriage mediator who would have come in before they moved and before Deb quit her job might have asked them, what do your choices about your childcare do to the obligations you have to each other? How do they affect your relationship? Because you have to remember that there is no such thing as free childcare. If the two of them had thought about their split beforehand, what would have gone differently? Well, maybe Deb would have realized a little better how much her family and her friends were important to her, precisely in what she was taking on, which is full-time parenthood. Perhaps Emily, in waning the excitement of the new job offer, might have also thought about what that would mean for the cost to Deb, and what would be owed to Deb as a result of her taking on full-time parenthood. So let's go back to Lisa and Andy. Lisa had an inheritance from her grandmother before the marriage. And when they got married, they bought a home. And Lisa put that inheritance toward a down payment on that home. And then Andy, of course, worked to make the mortgage payments. And all of their premarital and marital property became joint. That inheritance is now marital property. So in a split, what's going to happen? They're going to have to sell the house and split the process. Or one of them can buy the other out. So this marriage mediator, if they had talked to them before all of this happened, that person would have asked, what do you want to keep separate, and what do you want to keep separate, and what do you want to keep together? And how does that choice actually support the security of the marriage? Because you have to remember that what's yours probably will become ours, unless you actually are mindful to take steps to do otherwise. So if they had thought about a split, maybe they would have decided differently. Maybe Lisa would have thought, maybe the inheritance can stay separate, and saved for a day when they might actually need it. And maybe the mortgage that they took on wouldn't have been as onerous, onerous, and maybe Andy wouldn't have had to work so hard to make those payments, and maybe he would have become he would have become less resentful. Maybe they would have lived in a smaller house, and been content to do that. The point is, if they had had a divorce conscious discussion about what to keep separate, their marriage might have their marriage might have been more connected and more together. Too often in a marriage, we make sacrifices and we demand them without reckoning the cost. But there is wisdom in looking at the price tags attached to our marital decisions in, in just the way that divorce law teaches us to do. What I want is for people to think about their marital bargains through the lens of divorce, and to ask, how is marriage a sacrifice but an exchange of sacrifice? How do we think about our exchange? Second, how do we think about childcare and deal with the fact that there is no such thing as free childcare? How do we deal with the fact that some things can be separated and that some things can be separate and some things can be together? And if we don't think about it, then it will all be part of the joint enterprise. So basically, what I want to leave you with is that in marriage or divorce, people should think about the way that till death do us part, marriage is forever. Thank you.